All right, y'all. Today I'm gonna make a basic Mexican rice. After I made my first video with the chili verde, I got a lot of requests for the rice that you guys saw in the video. So there's really only 3 basic ingredients to making this rice: a little bit of bell pepper, some onions, and garlic. Fresh garlic. Make sure you get a fresh bell pepper. And I always use the white onions. The white onions are a little bit more expensive, but if you use the yellow onions, they really start to, they let off the gas where it tears you up a lot. So if you don't like crying when you're cutting onions, get the white onions. They're a little more expensive. They have a little better taste. They're not as sweet as the yellow onions, and they give you a really good flavor. So white onions. Pay the extra 20 cents. You don't really want to get any texture out of the vegetables that you put into the rice. So the finer you cut this, the better off. You don't really want chunks of any of this in the rice. It's just to add flavor to the rice. So you can even cut it up more than what I've cut it up here. Obviously you need rice too. And you want to measure your rice. If you don't have a measuring cup, you could use a coffee cup. You could use a red cup, just as long as you know exactly how much it is. Because when we end up cooking this, you're going to have 1 part rice and 2 parts water. That's all you really need to remember. So 1 part rice, 2 parts water. Now we need to cook the ingredients, and usually you could use any type of oil, olive oil, corn oil, or vegetable oil, but I realize I don't have any oil left, so I'm going to cook everything in butter. Same shit. It comes out exactly the same. And before we go any further, I know some of you guys have Mexican grandparents, and some of them are probably watching this right now, and they're going to say, oh, he left out a few steps. He was supposed to use this, or he was supposed to use that. Tell your fucking grandma to mind her own business, alright? It'll come out good, trust me. And don't be mean to your grandma. Now the next thing you gotta do is you have to add some tomato sauce and chicken bouillon. But if you use this right here, it's actually tomato bouillon with chicken flavor. So you could actually just use this, and you don't have to use chicken bouillon and tomato sauce. It actually comes out really good. How much do you use? I just took the cap full and put about that much in there, just so you have an idea how much goes into it. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. So you're gonna want to let this boil. Keep it on high or close to high. And in a few minutes we're gonna cover it. I'll let you know when it's time to cover it. Okay, when you start to see little craters in the rice, that's when you know it's time to cover it. See little craters right there? That's the clue that it's time to cover it. And since most of us are ghetto as fuck and we lose the tops to our pans, we're going to use a plate turned upside down to cover it. So you just put the plate right over it. Bam! Covers it perfectly. You're going to turn this down to low and then set the kitchen timer. Let's see. Kitchen timer to 15 minutes. So while it's cooking, I just want to let you guys know, there are a lot of other things you could put in the rice to flavor it. A lot of people use Mexican cumin or comino. Like I said, if your grandma's watching, she's going to say he should have used chicken broth. But the tomato and chicken bouillon is pretty much like chicken broth. So experiment with the flavors. But the important thing is when you cook it, for the first 15 minutes, don't let no one uncover it. Don't let no one touch it. Make sure it stays completely covered. Because even just uncovering it for a second is going to affect the cooking. So make sure you keep it covered for the first 15 minutes. And then once that 15 minutes is done, we're going to turn it down. We're going to turn it off, leave it for another 5 minutes. And then in just a few moments here, I'm going to show you the finished product of the rice. Mexican rice. People call it Spanish rice, but I call it Mexican rice because I'm not from Spain, I'm from Mexico. Actually, I'm not even from Mexico, I'm from California. Actually, I was born in Wyoming, but anyway, you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? All right, here's the unveil. Damn.